just how much influence should a parent have over a child's life? Some of us want our kids to go and find their own way, while other parents will drag their kids kicking and screaming along the only path that they deem correct. Ricky, kick us off. What do you reckon?
When it comes to parental influence over kids, I guess I always like to return back to biology or nature, so to speak.
Yeah.
And when I look at other animals, and I think humans are one of the only animals where imprinting happens the other way around. So something like a duckling, when they hatch, the first animal they see, they imprint on that animal. You're my mother, you're my influence, you're my leader. Yeah. I will follow you to my death.
That's why you have an army of ducks following you everywhere you go.
Yes, because the first thing they see is their mother, and of course a mother wouldn't be able to care for 10 ducklings if she had to sort of attach to each one of them and chase them around. Yeah. It has to be the other way around. Yeah. So that the duckling or the young will be born, and I will be influenced by you literally to the death. If the mother walks off a cliff, the duckling will walk off the cliff. So when a human baby is born, it's the complete opposite. The human mother loves and attaches to the baby. Yeah. And will fight for the baby to the death. So ideally, So the influence, I guess nature gives us a helping hand in terms of how much influence we have over the baby. I guess that actually starts in utero.
Yeah.
So the baby is influenced by what happens to the mother, and I think it's the way a child deals with stress for the rest of their life is kind of formed in the uterus. So if their mother is completely stressed, and in fact, even if their grandmother's completely stressed too, I think it goes that far back.
Yeah, right, because your eggs were in your grandmother.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're training and learning what sort of a world am I going to be born into? Is it a hostile, scary, scarce world? Do I need to prepare to, store fat? Do I need to prepare to deal with, so we're already being influenced long before we even think we're being influenced, So I guess in a biological sense, we're being influenced by our parents, whether we like it or not, for better or worse sort of thing. And then when we're born, we're influenced by how much our caregivers attach to us and how safe our world is, I guess. Yeah. And then I think for the first 3 years, there's probably a reason why we're kind of essentially being hypnotized. So we're being influenced by our caregivers, again, whether we like it or not, whether we're attached or not. Our brainwaves at that stage of our lives are like a hypnosis. And that must be for a reason as well. I guess we've developed in a way that it would be essentially very helpful if our young believed what we believe and follow what we follow, and to work as a community or as a group of animals together, if our young just sort of brainwashed to begin with to follow what we do.
I don't know any 2-year-old that does what they're told.
Well, I guess that's when, depending on how important the attachment is and how much kids want to be influenced by you and how much they care about your opinion, I guess, then they'll work towards either maintaining that connection or thinking, well, I'd rather be influenced by someone over there. They'll choose their influencer, whether we want to be influencers or not. They will choose once they get the choice, they will choose, I think, who they want to follow.
How much right do you have then to intervene and go, those guys you're going to follow are total D-bags. Okay, I want to step in here and continue to usher you along this path. So those years weren't enough. I need more time. Okay, all these YouTube shorts that you're watching, all these social media influencers, all these kids that you're hanging out with, these gangs, whoever, this rap music or whatever it is that you've got an issue with. Yeah. How much right do we have as parents to just grab our child and go, not that way, this way?
I don't know whether it's a right or whether, it's a responsibility sometimes, or whether it's hard to know, isn't it? Which one is...
That's why we're doing this video, because I really want to know. I've been chatting with other friends about this sort of thing, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And with all the influences in the world, like you step out the front door, just imagine walking into Times Square in New York, all the billboards and everything. It's full on.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like every single moment for our kids now, because they're constantly connected to things. They're getting messages from their friends on Snapchat or whatever it is. There's always some sort of connection, some sort of influence, some sort of stimulation going on. So it's a really pertinent question. What can we do as parents, and what are we allowed to do as parents? Because I feel like sometimes you do have to just let things happen, live and let live. But on the other hand, when you can see something happening, because we're old, we can kind of see the future because we're living in the future, if that makes sense. A child's future is an adult, and that's where we are right now. So we can see all the mistakes that are going to be made along the way. So I feel like I do have a responsibility to help my kids not make the same mistakes that I did. You know, I was such a cringe lord too. I don't want them doing that stuff. On the other hand, it's not fatal.
And they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. But still, there's a lot of stuff that you don't want on your resume, that you don't want in your history. So yeah, what can we do and what's our responsibility?
I think it goes back to what we often talk about, is being someone worthy of being followed or being listened to, or being someone who your children would like to know your opinion about, you know?
I try, and our kids mock me all the time. They even put on a voice to tease me. They call me lecture man. They accuse me of giving lectures all the time. So
They do.
I need to back off, but
They do. It's funny because you don't do that. You don't lecture them, but that's their interpretation, and that's their comical sort of way of joking about things, you know, because you don't lecture them at all, you know.
Well, I don't think I do. You don't think I do, but from their perspective,
that's
it might
that's the way they take it.
Yeah.
Or the way they need to, you know, they love to joke around too.
Look, it's probably a power thing as well.
Yeah.
You know, when someone...
Yeah, it's like a power reversal kind of a... Yeah.
I guess my thing is I'm just trying to plant seeds for the future. So the way I see it is, if I can not preach kindness, but if I can just lay that foundation and just kind of hypnotize them a little bit to be kind, that hopefully...
But you're always kind as a human being. So that's, you know, whether you say you should be kind or not and plant those seeds, you're actually doing more than planting seeds. You're embodying that. Like, you're doing that all the time. So that's way more powerful than... And that's probably why they can mock you about it.
Because they know that they can.
They know that it's actually the truth, you know, that you are this kind person, so they can muck around about it. If there was a contrast between what you were saying, maybe that they wouldn't feel safe to be able to joke and tease you about all that stuff, because it would be quite a scary thing, because, well, if we do tease Daddy about this, then, you know, he'll turn into that person that he is when he's not telling us, you know, not preaching.
I'm always angry.
So maybe that's part of it as well.
Yeah. Anyway, our kids are tough. Let me they hate this channel.
They really hate it.
They're hoping for its downfall. Joke's on them because you can't fall when you haven't risen. All right, but what about stuff like religion, beliefs, worldview, all that sort of stuff? How much are you allowed to push onto your children? I feel like that's a huge thing. I think a lot of people can get messed up by being told certain things when they're young that doesn't align with who they are when they grow up. It doesn't align with what they perceive as reality even. I think religion is probably the biggest example. I know some people who take years to recover from being told one thing and then seeing the world is completely different. Things like doomsday cults and that sort of stuff, that can really be harmful. But from the parents' perspective, they're trying to save their children. I mean, are you allowed to do that? Should you be allowed to do that?
People will do it regardless.
That's true.
Know? Like if they've wholeheartedly believe this is, I'm preparing my child for this very important doomsday, you know, it's a belief in them that, you know, is right and true. So again, I guess you could try and be a positive influence in the world.
Yeah.
But that probably wouldn't change the way someone raises their kids to, you know, preparing for doomsday. You know? So it's a tough one.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I kind of feel like this question's about, you know, how much can you influence your kids, but what do we need to influence them about, I suppose, is the other question that we need to talk about, because what are we so afraid of? Like, what can a person end up doing that we're so scared that we have to keep them on these rails? And for me, it's just, I suppose, being mean to other people, hurting others. I think if your kids aren't hurting anyone, then maybe we should back off. That's it, really.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think we're so afraid. It really is all about fear, this episode. Ultimately, now that I've realised, I've unpacked it with you, Ricky. You know, we fear that our kids are going to do something that's going to affect their lives in a completely indelible way where that's it. You know,
Catastrophes.
Yeah. And I don't want that, so I want to guide them in this particular direction. But yeah, maybe that's not my place.
Yeah, we want to keep them away from that cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's something I just need to trust them with, right?
Yeah, and it's a really hard one because, look, they're going to be influenced by us, like we established already, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So I guess our most important role is to be as healthy as possible so that they follow that role, because they're going to do whatever, we all have an individual, yearning for this or that, or, I guess we'll have a different path that we need to walk, a unique path that no one else can walk. So if we at least can be as authentic and fair and as healthy mentally, physically that we can, then that influence alone will hopefully set them up so that when they do walk their own path, they don't walk off that cliff.
And
or push someone off a cliff. Even worse.
You started with some categories there. You said physically and mentally. And I think that's important to cover the categories that make up a person, really. So, you want them to understand how to take care of themselves physically, mentally, but also spiritually, ethically, morally, all that sort of stuff. I think if you can essentially have these pillars that you can focus on for yourself, and I suppose set the example for your children, then maybe they won't go off that cliff.
Yeah.
So really, we're so scared of our kids doing it, but really it comes down to us, doesn't it? It's modelling again.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. I think I just need to work on being a better person. And then instead of being afraid of our kids going the wrong way, I just hope that the way I live is appealing enough for them to go, that's cool. I want to be like that dude.
Yeah. I think really that's all we can hope for, is to try and be worthy of being an influencer,
I like that.
That these influencers in the world, I mean, it's a thing for a reason.
Yeah.
And these influencers that paid huge amounts of money because they have huge influence, somehow they became worthy of being influential.
But a lot of it's seductive. That's the thing, because it's about looks.
Yeah.
It's about money and power, and power is seductive. That's the thing. So
is love,
Yeah,
not seductive, but they're
it's easier to seduce someone.
Yeah.
With money than it is to seduce them with doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to join us and just feel good about yourself? What do I get out of it?
It's much harder work.
You get to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
What about if I follow that guy and deal drugs? Well, you get heaps of money. You get to buy a really expensive car. I'm going to go that way.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's more tempting to take
absolutely. And this is, the old battle of good versus evil. One's a quick fix and one's that delayed gratification where you've got to work really, really hard for.
Yeah. And hopefully our children would see us taking that path, the one where you do need to delay gratification and you do need to make effort every single day. And hopefully they'll see that has a different kind of reward, perhaps.
A richer and deeper reward.
Yeah. And hopefully they'll go, well, yeah, easily I could take the instant gratification path, and we all do sometimes.
Sure.
And it's essential sometimes, like on birthdays.
Yeah.
And it helps and it's beneficial. But most of the time it's the more effort you put into something, the more reward you get.
Yeah.
And hopefully that influence that they see you practicing, hopefully, all the time is something that they go, wow, well, I can see that that's a really rewarding path. And I've got all these other influences around me of take this easy path or this instant happiness pill or whatever it happens to be. They go, well, you can do that. But in the long run, they've seen, hopefully, people who've taken more of a challenging path for greater rewards, for richer rewards.
I think you've answered our question today. How much influence should you have over your children? It's up to them.
Yeah.
It's up to them, and it's based on you being an awesome human being. The better you are as a human being, the more consistent you are, the more inspiring you are, the more aspiring you are, the more influence you will have over your children.
Yeah. It's like a sunshine, it's like you want to move towards the sun. You want to, you want to be close to that.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's something that's harmful, it's like, well, actually that over there looks a little bit safer and more, gives me more, even if it's a gang that gives you a little bit of, I don't know.
They give you power.
But so it's you've got to be worthy of that influence, I think. That's and for the first few years, you'll have a I guess, influence over them quite a lot because they need you as well. But after that, when they start to realise, well, I don't know, maybe I should have a look over there. There might be something more helpful or, you know, so I guess we've just got to keep working at working on that attachment, you know, it's like animals have it easy in terms of the babies will instantly go, you know, mummy, you know, but we, after a while, have to, I don't want to say earn because it's not really.
We do.
But we have to keep being someone worthy of follow this way. You know, I want to be a safe person for you to keep coming this way, keep following. We want, I guess, in the direction we're heading in, hopefully is one that we've considered and thought long and hard about so that if we're going that direction and we're trying to get our children to come that direction, then, hopefully it's
100%. Yeah, look, the last thing I want is our kids to follow what I'm telling them because they're afraid. You're living under my roof, you know, you follow my rules, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
No way. I want them to go, I want to do what Daddy does because he's done the right thing.
Yeah.
And I've actually told them, if I'm doing the wrong thing, don't follow me. You know, your loyalty isn't to me. Your loyalty is to follow the truth and to do what's right.
Yeah.
Not what I say is right. You've got to think for yourself. And they have, and they don't like me. So that's where we're at the moment. But Riki, thanks so much for doing this video with me. This is my idea because I guess I've got that insecurity about, you know, how much can I influence our children because there's so many things going on in the world. But I guess our goal as people, as solid human beings, is to just continue working on ourselves. And that's it. That's our responsibility, to work on ourselves. Yeah. And our kids, hopefully, will be inspired to either follow our path or at least be adjacent and walk their own path and walk straight past us. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah, and to be able to, if we're, I guess, transparent about our own shortcomings or, you know, failings, and for them to be able to know, of course, that we're human, but also, well, you know, hopefully they won't need to make those same mistakes as well, you know.
Our kids are way too aware of my failings.
And mine.
So that's what we think. How much influence should a parent have over their child? Well, as much as they can by being good people, not through force. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.